Shields up, Ironbreakers. Work here coming at you with another video, and today we're going to be taking a look at some new Monster Hunter World gameplay which was recently released. This goes over the same scenery that we've seen previously during that Japanese presentation, except this is an English build of the game. We see the start of the quest right here with the hunter coming in on the small wyvern, which these are the creatures that allow us to fast travel throughout the map. You're going to be seeing that creature coming into play later on this specific gameplay. You can see that our hunter is once again armed with the great sword, but that is not the only weapon that we'll be seeing in this gameplay. Here we once again get a look at the map. You can see how the areas are divided like we mentioned on our previous video. You can see some kind of indication of what appears to be some resources, as well as a couple of transitional zones and stuff like that. But the areas are divided, I think, mostly for organizational purposes because, like we've said previously, there are no loading screens in between areas of this specific zone, which, like I said at the start of this video, this is called the Ancient Forest. And the monsters that will be appearing on this video are Anjanath, Great Jagus, and Rathalos. Now, something that we've seen here that I wasn't able to notice the last time, because last time the footage also didn't have as much quality, was the Palico. There's actually a Palico in this particular mission. You can see him running after our hunter. He's got some kind of a shovel. I'm not sure if this Palico is maybe specialized in gathering or something like that. You can see the scout flies already getting to work, locating footprints and stuff like that. As we've mentioned in the previous video, the scout flies, they kind of like level up as you encounter more and more clues of where the monster is. You can see the Great Jagus right here coming in to take the Aptonoth, the herbivore, and he's going to gobble him up. Now, this is something that I feel they're probably still going to be working on, which is the animations. There's still a bit of polish missing on there, but still, for a game that is an alpha and for a Monster Hunter game, this looks friggin' fantastic, in my opinion. So you can see that now it actually tells you the different marks that you encounter. You can see the little subtitle in the middle, which whenever you see something that you can pick up or interact with, it's going to pop up right in the middle of the screen. That's cool by me. You can also see the controls on the top right. Now, those are probably going to be optional. You're going to be able to turn those off if you want to. Once again, we notice that on the top left-hand side, you can see that both the stamina and the health have been automatically hidden, which to me is a good thing. But still, there's a lot of clutter on the UI, which hopefully this is something that we can customize. At least that's something that I would like to see customized. Once again, we see the Great Jagus vomiting up his meal to feed his youngs. And here you're going to see actually something pretty cool that I think we've seen this in the other video, but I wasn't paying close attention to this section. But basically the hunter is going to use the slinger, which is the new tool that you have to like throw consumables and whatnot. He's going to throw something and is going to attract the Jagus away from him so that he can now get out of stealth. He was in stealth while he was in that brush, by the way. He's now going to be able to get out of stealth and continue to chase down the Anjanath's tracks. You can see that he's collecting the mucus for the scout flies and all that stuff. Once again, we see the Palico there on the screen, which you guys know, Palicos is not my favorite. I really wish they would bring back the Cha-Cha and the Kayamba, but I don't want to harp on that too much. If Palicos is what we're going to get, then I'm just going to get used to the idea. I'm assuming that potentially they're going to let you have 2 Palicos, because right here you only have 1. So we can't really know too much about the Palicos. You can see the level up progress of the scout flies right there on screen right now. As you can see, the more stuff you collect, the more they level up. And eventually they will get to a certain point where they will be able to pinpoint the location of the monster. And you can just like keep on tracking them, which is actually, it's basically a replacement for the paintballs. And it also saves you the hassle of going through the different areas trying to look for the monster. And as you can see here, we're going into the cave. This is the cave where the Anjanath sleeps. This is not the first time that we've seen this. We've seen it in previous footage. Once again, he's sleeping. I'm assuming that if you would want to at this point, you could just come up in here, barrel up all over his face, and blast him into high heavens. But obviously that's not what they're going to do. Once again, they're going to attract the Anjanath. I'm sorry, I actually thought it was Andronath the first time I saw him, like D-R-O, but it's actually Anjanath, which I thought was kind of weird. Either way, here he comes. He's now awake. The hunter is throwing stuff with the slinger to kind of attract him to different positions, as you can see there. Assuming he's using that red pit ammo, which I'm not exactly sure what that is, but that is going to be something that you'll be able to pick up fairly easy. You can also see that there is a camera focus mode, which he is currently using to determine which monster you are focused on. And I believe he's currently focused on the Anjanath, so that you can use the lock-on functionality that we've had in the past Monster Hunters. Now here we see the monster interacting with this particular piece of the environment, which is going to be pretty cool. The hunter's trying to like navigate through this. The Anjanath's like, dude, I don't give a damn. Blast right through. And as you can see, the controls are fairly similar to what we're used to in the 3DS. Of course, we now have an extra set of triggers, which I'm assuming they're going to use. And we now see the hunter running away, obviously, from Anjanath, because you don't want to fight him head on. I believe they're trying to lure him over to the Great Jagras, but the Great Jagras is not here, so you're going to have to go ahead and engage in combat. So you see the red pit, the scatter net. These are all things that you're able to fire from the slinger. I'm assuming the scatter net's going to do something like a shotgun type blast from your slinger. But obviously, if you really want to do some serious range damage, you're going to want to use the bowgun. Now there you also saw the hunter dropping some stuff on top of the monster, and now he is mounting. You can see that they're giving you different instructions on when to brace, when to attack. That is now indicated by the map. So like when the map is white, you guys can see the side of the map there. When it's white, you can attack, and when it's not, you have to brace. Now there you also saw the recovery with the grappling hook. So whenever you get thrown off the back of the monster, you can instantly recover using the grappling hook. I'm not exactly sure which button you have to press for that, but I'm assuming it's not going to be too hard. Now this attack, I love it, because you guys know me. I love mounting the monster, and the fact that he basically jammed the blade into the monster's neck, that is awesome. Here we see level 1 charge, at least that's what it looked like, going for 53 damage in the head. Now that's another thing that I'm still trying to get my head around, the fact that you can actually see the damage numbers now. It's not something that I'm particularly passionate about. I'd rather not see those, but I can understand that since they're trying to make it more appealing, you know, Western gamers are extremely meta when it comes to that kind of stuff. They'll want to optimize to do as much damage as possible, so at some point this just kind of makes it easier for people to be able to do that. Personally, I don't care that much about it. You can see once again, they're trying to drop some more fruits on top of the monster. That actually deals damage, which I'm not sure makes a lot of sense. It depends on the kinds of fruits they are. Maybe they have like some kind of spikes on them or something. And you can also pick them up, as you can see, the scatter nuts. You can use them for slinger ammo, which is useful for stunning monsters. So you can use the scatter nuts to try and get a stun off, which is good, building up the KO. This is going to be particularly useful for someone who is using hammer. So stacking the hammer on top of stacking with scatter nuts, that is just going to be pretty sweet. There we see some kind of a break happen in the head where the monster even staggered. Once again, hitting him all up in that head. I'm assuming that the head should be showing some scars by now, but unfortunately the footage makes it kind of hard to see. And also everything is in constant motion, which makes it somewhat challenging to really figure out if the monster is too wounded or not. But as you can see, the monster is starting to retreat. He's not limping, but he is retreating, which means the monsters will retreat just like they have done in previous Monster Hunters. But the cool thing now is that it's not this unsynced experience where you're like, okay, now he's going to another zone, I'm going to go through the zone, and all of a sudden the monster behind me. This is more, you know, the fact that the whole scenario is linked, it feels much more organic to do these chases. At least that's the way it looks. I can't really say that's the way it feels because I haven't played it yet, but just the look of it, it just looks way more organic to be able to chase the monster through. Now, the monster apparently opened up a new section, not a new section, maybe some kind of a shortcut to a different section of the map. You can see these flies here. These are flash flies, and you're able to attack them to flash the monster, which is pretty cool there. We actually saw him use the slinger to shoot something at them, and that triggered the flash. He also used the scatter nut, which I'm assuming also helps you stun. I'm not sure if he's able to hit the flash and the monster at the same time. But the monster's definitely flashed. He has no idea what is going on right now. And meanwhile, he's taking some time to punish that tail. But the way in which that tail will get chopped, now that is going to be amazing. But I'm not going to spoil that just yet. You guys will see. I like the little nostrils thing that the monster's got going there. How it kind of mutates when he does that shift. But I really like the fact that there's a lot of stuff in the environment that you can use against the monster. So that was a little example, the flash flies there. I'm assuming you're also able to potentially collect those flies to do flash bombs, because obviously you're still going to have traditional ways flashing monsters and dropping barrels. As a matter of fact, you could see the radial menu there, which you can use the radial menu if you want to, but you can also use the manual menu on the bottom right-hand side. It's just he's currently choosing a bunch of different stuff. He's got paralysis knife selected. I'm not sure if you throw that with the slinger. I'm assuming since it's a knife, he would throw it himself. Either way, you see a couple of new raptor-like enemies, which are pretty cool looking as well. Looks like he actually did throw it with the slinger. So you would throw knives with the slinger? I'm not... Anyway, he paralyzed the monster, and then he was able to trigger the big rock trap that we've seen before. I'm assuming this trap will get reset every time you come into the scenario. And now he's going to get to work on that tail once again. Another level 1 charge. I'm not sure if that's like maximum charge. It looks like only a level 1, but the interesting thing is you can see him starting to glow red. Now, I'm not sure if that's probably a new mechanic with the greatsword, hopefully, where you don't have to charge all the way to level 3, but maybe charging level 1 a couple of times, maybe a couple of attacks like that will actually grant you increased damage. But again, this is all speculation at this point. You can see the good use of grappling hook to navigate and eventually mount the monster again. And now he's going to jump back on that tail, and that is when he's going to really get to work on the tail, which I thought was pretty cool. The fact that you can now navigate the monster as you mount him to attack different sections, like, once again, we see the recovery on the grappling hook, also pretty sweet. But like I was saying, the cool thing about being able to navigate the monster, like you want to wound the head, you want to get him KO, you want to wound the tail. Like, this is really cool for me. Particularly me, because you guys know I'm obsessed about tails. I always like chopping tails. And now you can see him do a charged slash from the top of the tail and chopping that tail off. That was beautiful. That was something beautiful. And I can't wait to do this myself, if I'm being completely honest. Now, here you see something actually really cool, which is, I always thought that when you would have two monsters meet up, they would always try to decide who the alpha is and duke it out. But this time you actually see Anjanath, who is the alpha in this situation, run away because he recognizes that he's actually weak. So you can see that the new monster AI coming into play. So he's like, I'm weak. The hunter just chopped off my tail. I probably don't want to face off against this great Jagras right now. Once again, you can see them try to using the berry drop thing to drop it on top of monsters to actually deal damage. But it also drops the berries so that you can pick them up and use them with the slinger. Again, I like this whole thing of being able to collect stuff as you are hunting and instantly using it. I think that is pretty cool. Now, we see a little bit of animation glitching going on here, and you will see a couple of more animation stuff that looks kind of weird because bear in mind that this is still super alpha. You see him now using up a mantle. You have multiple mantles that you can use. The Challenger mantle is essentially an aggro mantle, which is going to get the monster to become really aggressive and chase you down. So he's trying to attract the monster to a specific location in the map. Now, this is something that we have seen in the previous gameplay footage, so I think you all know where the hunter is taking this Anjanath right now. He's going to take them to an old friend. But it looks like he actually got him to meet up with the great Jagras before, which is kind of cool. I thought he was going straight to the Rathalos, but no. But this time, Anjanath is feeling confident. He's like, I'm going to kill you. You can see that the animation still needs a little bit of work there. The interaction between the two monsters, they kind of like floated around a little bit. Either way, remember the hunter still has the Challenger mantle, which is going to try and keep aggro on the monster. I'm assuming the monster is chasing. You can kind of see in the minimap that the monster is in fact chasing you, which is kind of cool. You can see everything on that little lower left minimap, and it looks like you can do something to zoom it in whenever you open up the radial menu. And here we come upon a nest that is full of bones of devoured creatures. Now, who could possibly be the owner of this here nest? And we're also collecting a couple of gashes there for the scout flies, which I'm assuming this would be something that you would want to do if you would actually want to hunt the Rathalos, collecting a couple of stamina larvae, which I'm not entirely sure what those are for. He's going to be smacking the Anjanath a little bit. Once again, another sweet hit directly to the face. Looking good. And this, I love this. Like the whole parkour aspect of him running up the tree and then jumping into a jumping attack. It all felt very, it all looked, I need to stop saying felt. It all looked very natural. Just, you know, I just want to jump up this thing and then jump off and do an attack. That's pretty cool. You can also see the Palico there. He's doing some kind of skill. Looks like he's got some kind of cart going there. And it looks like it's actually shooting. So that's a pretty cool thing. It's like we've seen skills like these in other Monster Hunters, but it looks really cool. He's just got his little cart going on there and just shooting at the Anjanath. It's looking pretty damn good. Now we're punishing the legs a little bit. Here comes the Rathalos, the ultimate alpha in this particular situation. He's going to come in and pick up that Anjanath, blast him because he likes his Anjanath. Well done. Now he picks him up, drops him into the ground. I love the use of physics. You know, the fact that Rathalos actually picks him up, drops him off into the ground because he knows that's going to deal damage. But Rathalos, once again, just keeping up with the attack. The Hunter kind of taking advantage of that. Now this is a thing that I find really interesting, but it's not necessarily something that that I personally plan on using unless it is strictly necessary. And I hope it is not strictly necessary. Now you can see here that the Anjanath is on the run and the Hunter is going to be using the quick travel mode. So right there he used one of the wyverns we talked about and he's going to go back to camp. Now in camp you can actually swap your weapons and your armor now. So that's what you're going to see here. He's going to be able to change his equipment and there's a bunch of equipment stuff that's going to show up and you can see that the stuff that people were arguing about on the lower right hand side, that was actually a insect from the Kinsect Glaive. And he's now going to be equipping all of the Anja set, which is the Anjanath set. He's going to swap the mantle. Looks like you can carry 2 mantles at any one time. One of the mantles is now going to be the Rocksteady mantle, which is basically a mantle that improves your stability, kind of. So like you can take a couple of hits without staggering when you're using that mantle. The Palico armor still looking kind of funny and kind of cool, which, you know, keeps up with the traditional Monster Hunter experience of like, you know, the Palicos are still kind of like a, I don't want to say they're a joke, but they're supposed to be the funny sidekick type of thing. So it's cool that the armor still reflect that funny aspect of the game. And it's cool that you can see that the armor also is not going to look, you know, like hyper realistic armor. It's going to look like typical Monster Hunter armor, which is something that I personally can get behind. Now, the Hunter swapped weapon to the heavy bowgun, which is a weapon that I'm personally not that familiar with. So forgive me if I make a couple of mistakes on my analysis, but I am going to be speculating a little bit here as we get back into the fight. So even though we ran away from the monster, well, we didn't run away. The monster ran away from us. You can see that the scout flies basically have the scent on lockdown, so you never need to use paintballs again because the scout flies are always going to know. Once you track the monster down the first time, they're always going to know exactly where the monster is. Now the Hunter's going to prepare here with the heavy bowgun. He's going to be firing some kind of a rocket. I'm not sure what kind of, it's a cluster bomb. Oh, my friend's going to be happy about cluster bombs. He loves using cluster bombs. But it looks like the cluster bomb kind of works more like a mortar shot now, which is pretty cool. Now he's going to be swapping that ammo to regular ammo, or he's trying to, but Monster's not going to let him get away with it. As you can see, heavy bowgun, tremendously slow to move around in, but it looks like the dodges are somewhat increased, because those are some pretty long dodges that I'm seeing for regular Monster Hunter gameplay. Like those look like, you know, bigger than normal dodges. Now, he's got the ghillie mantle, but it didn't really work, and it looks like the ghillie mantle is actually broken, so he can't use it anymore. And now the Anjanath has him, and he's pretty low on health, so he's going to have to go ahead and run away. I love the animations on the floor thing, by the way. And now you can see that the verticality of the map really comes into play to allow you to get away. And once again, with the useful stuff in the scenario, you're able to actually regenerate health by eating whatever that insect had on him, which is, again, pretty cool. And it's also nice that it's very intuitive. So it's like, hey, here's a green thing. This probably regenerates your health. Now, the monster is enraged, which means he's going to chase you throughout the entirety of the map. There's nowhere you can run, nowhere you can hide. I mean, sure, you can try to use the stealth mechanics, but he did just break his ghillie mantle, so you're not going to be able to use that again. You can see the Hunter trying to clear the smaller minions so that he can get a fair shot at the Anjanath. Anjanath coming in with his little fire breath going on there. He's got the wings spread out. I'm wondering if those are actually supposed to give the Anjanath a little bit more airtime. So you can see once again the controls, fire special ammo. He's got normal ammo right now. But he's going to be swapping to some really interesting things pretty soon here. Oh, okay, yeah, this is just regular ammo at this point. But pretty soon he's going to be swapping, and it's going to be so cool. There you go. That's... I don't know what the hell this is, this freaking minigun style thing, but it is pretty damn awesome. I'm assuming this is some kind of like firing mode that you can get on the heavy bowgun only, because if the light bowgun can do that as well, then I don't know, dude. Maybe that's just a little bit too much. Either way, he's going to be swapping to an even more interesting ammo pretty soon here. You can see that the Great Jagras is now in the fight. And these two are enemies, so they will fight each other. Hunter putting down some raw meat, which is going to attract the Great Jagras' attention. But I don't know what the Great Jagras is doing, kind of digging himself through the ground. And looks like they're going to be engaging in fierce battle yet again. So again, this Hunter throughout this hunt has been using the other monsters in the scenario to distract the main monster. Now, the interesting thing here is, are the main monsters going to be super tough, and therefore are these going to be mandatory tactics that you're going to have to do, or are the main monsters not going to be as tough and you're still going to be able to take them out as usual, and maybe you don't have to engage in these tactics? Either way, it doesn't seem like he's been focusing too much on the Anjanath, you know, like actually super focus. Here you see him once again swapping to a different kind of ammo. This is the sticky ammo, which works kind of like a sticky bomb, and it's really cool to see. Like, this makes me want to play bowgun, even though I know that I'm probably not going to be a bowgun user, but kind of makes me want to do it. Also, you can see that he put up a new mantle. You can see that in his armor, like how it looks like he's spiky and stuff. This is the Rocksteady mantle, and it gives him the stability stuff that I talked about, where he can kind of take a hit or two without getting knocked down. And here he's using Wyvern ammo, which looks just like the Wyvern Blast from the Gunlance, which is one of my favorite weapons in Monster Hunter. And he took down the Anjanath. So I don't know if you could do that previously with Wyvern ammo and bowguns, but I've never seen it done, so I'm going to assume not. Again, I'm not a bowgun user, so I don't know. And now we're just celebrating with a nice little carve here. So I got to say, this gameplay is looking pretty damn good. I don't have any reservations whatsoever at this point. I just really like everything I see. How about you guys? You guys sold on Monster Hunter World? You guys going to be getting that when it comes out next year? I am definitely going to go, like, balls deep into this title, like, just straight up. That's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed it, hit that like button. Helps out a lot. If you're new here, hit that subscribe so that you're always notified whenever I release a video. Thank you very much for watching. Comments and feedback and all that good stuff in the comment section below. I'll see you in the next one.